What is happening, people? It is Brian, Alsruhe, neversave.com, and for today's video, I want to talk to you guys about how I'm trying to put mass back on my back. Now, for those of you who are just showing up to this party, for the last 2 years, I've struggled with a couple different diseases like Lyme's and Giardia, but also the biggest of which was cystomycosis. So cystomycosis is basically a parasite that is a worm. I have a worm inside me, and this worm ends up killing over 240,000 people in Africa alone every single year. So it's a pretty nasty worm, right? So since it was depleting so much of my nutrients, I was throwing up 50 times a day. It was a really, really rough situation. And basically my body weight at my best, when I was my most competitive in strongman, I weighed around 273 pounds. That's where I weighed in for my heaviest competition. And then during this whole disease and going through all this, I ended up dropping all the way down to 218 pounds. And that was tough. That was very, very tough. Of course, all my strength went with it. There was a lot that changed. I couldn't really seem to hold on to muscle mass. My body fat was kind of going up. My body was a mess, right? So I've been trying to climb out of it, and it has been good and bad and both challenging and also kind of a cool experience because, to be honest with you guys, I haven't really had to think about how to put mass onto my back for literally decades, right? Because when I was a young man, I spent so much time doing things like rack deadlifts, heavy rows, weighted pull-ups, heavy carries. These are all things that have been in my program literally since the very beginning. Since 20 years ago, those were things that I was doing because where I learned everything, those things were held in high priority. So my back has always been a strong point for me, and to be honest with you, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so strong. However, now that I'm on this side of it and I got so atrophied and everything just kind of went away, I've been trying to build it back, and it's been challenging. I've been getting some tweaks here and there, stuff that I think I should be able to do, I'm not able to do. So long story short, I'm going to go over this video telling you guys exactly how I've been trying to put mass back on my back and basically go over 4 principles. Because if you guys are a bodybuilder or a power lifter or a strongman or a CrossFit athlete or whatever it is that you do, your techniques are going to be different, right? Like your exercise is going to be different, the way you go about it, your rep range, things like that are all going to be different because you're going to attack it different ways for the specificity of your sport. However, what I'm going to go over is 4 different principles that you can use in any technique or any circumstance that are going to help you to put this mass back specifically onto your back. Now, most of you already know my stance on training for aesthetics versus performance. I am a performance guy, right? I am all go. I don't care so much about the show. That is what I always say. However, if I'm being honest with you guys, when I was down to 218 pounds and not used to filling out a shirt the way that I'm used to filling out a shirt, like my arms, it was loose around my arms, I didn't really have traps. My upper back especially was small, and if you do not have a back, it's very tough to fill out a shirt the way that I would like to fill out a shirt. So basically, I would like to say that I don't care about that stuff, but when I shrunk down and wasn't fitting the way that I was fitting in clothes, it definitely hurt my self-confidence. I'm not going to lie. I'm just trying to be honest and real with you guys. So I'm trying to gain that back. I'm trying to get back to where I was. So I'm just going to share with you guys what I'm doing, and hopefully it'll help you guys too. Let's go. All right, so the very first principle that I want to discuss with you is the fact that if you want to get a thick or wide back, you need to move heavy weights. You cannot rely on light isolation exercises, and you can't even rely on light compound exercises. That's not really how it works. Now, I know there's going to be someone on here in the comment section that's going to be screaming like, well, what about whoever bodybuilder that does light weights and doesn't do anything and they're super wide and thick? You're not him. Unlike that dude, you, me, and everyone else is going to need to move heavy weights in order to really put any sort of mass on your back. Your body is always going to adjust to the stimulus that you're giving it. That is why a marathon runner looks much different than a strongman, right? They're both just giving their body different things, and their body's going to adapt to it how it sees fit so they can do the job as efficiently and as safely as possible. If you are trying to get a big, thick back, and you are not moving heavy weight, your body does not need to widen itself to support that. Whether it be man-made or in nature, things that are built to support weight have to be made thick and wide. That's exactly why this is so important for you. If you guys are not moving heavy weight on your deadlifts, your rows, your weighted pull-ups, and you're just trying to keep your form as perfect as possible, I'm not saying get bad form, but I'm saying if you're like so strict on your stuff that you're not moving any substantial weight, you're gonna have a very hard time putting any substantial mass onto your back. Use big basic movements, do them super heavy for more reps than you want to, for longer than you want to, and trust me, you will start to widen out and thicken out. The second principle I want to talk to you guys about is volume and the fact that your back needs a lot of it. Your back is made up of a ton of different muscle groups that you can hit in 2 different planes. You know how many muscle groups are in the back? All of them, 1 billion. Too many not to be hitting some sort of row variation or pull-up variation every single time that you step into the gym. I'm not saying that you need to crush it on every single one. Sometimes they need to be heavy, sometimes they need to be more rep-based, and sometimes they need to be light and fast, but you should be hitting some sort of pulling variation every single time that you're in the gym. You know what an awesome assistance exercise for deadlifts is? Back stuff. You know what one of the best assistance exercises for your bench is? Back stuff. You know one of the best assistance, you guys get it, right? You guys get it, you get the point. You can throw this in at every single level. It is absolutely insane how much having a stronger back builds up your posterior chain, which means that you can support you support weight. Because if your posterior chain gets stronger, then you can support weight in all different planes and all different motions, and you're just gonna be stronger in absolutely everything. Rowing, heavy weighted pull-ups, all different types of variations, deadlifts, rack deadlifts, working your back, getting those muscles lit up all of the time is so important, and I hope you guys are doing it at least as much as you're doing your pushing exercises. If you're not, then you're working towards an imbalance, which could lead to shoulder injuries. There are so many reasons why you should be doing this. It's not funny, but trust me, strength, if you want to be strong, this is of utmost importance. Get in, work your back all of the time. The third principle I want you guys thinking about is time under tension. Now, I know that's a term that's been thrown around a lot, but when it comes to back training, you're gonna have to look at it a little bit differently, okay? First off, time under tension is going to mean keeping the muscle-mind connection together by getting good holds at the top of your reps when you're doing more of a strict to strict-ish kind of row. So your back is such a hard, it's not something that you use regularly. I mean, you do use it regularly, but most people, if you tell them to flex their bicep, they know exactly what to do. If you tell them to flex their tricep, they know what to do. You tell someone to do a lat spread and you get kind of some funny stuff, right? A lot of people don't know how to initiate things, and keeping that mind-muscle connection is going to be super, super important at any time when you're trying to grow a muscle, but especially when you're trying to grow your back, because so many people do their rows and their pull-ups basically using their arms, using their momentum, using absolutely anything other than their back. So getting a good pause up top is going to be a good way to help people get that mind-muscle connection, also increase the time under tension when it comes to those lighter type of reps. When the weight is light on an isolation exercise, I never am not trying to get at least a 1 second or a 2 count in my head on every single rep. Now, another way you're gonna have to consider the time under tension when it comes to putting mass on your back is to increase the number of reps and sets in a given exercise in that given workout. So I think of something like a croc row, which is historically one of the best ways that you can put size and strength on your back. And a croc row is nothing more than grabbing pretty much the heaviest dumbbell in your gym, strapping your hand to it, using as much body English as you need to do as many reps and more time than you possibly want to, right? Quick disclaimer on what I just said, though. You should use a weight that is appropriate for you, but it should be a lot heavier than your normal dumbbell row weight, because you're not trying to be strict with it. You're just trying to get a bunch of reps, like you're trying to start a rusty lawnmower. But even if you're not doing something like croc rows, you think about a lot of the other things that you're throwing on, like a bench day, like a drop set or a strip set or cluster sets that you'll do for virtually every other body part, but you will not do for your back. So I would just encourage you guys to start using some of those same modalities and tricks and just fun rep games that you can play on other exercises with your back work, and you'll be shocked at how quickly that will start to pick up and how quickly your back will catch back up to everything else on your body. And then one of the best ways that you can utilize time under tension is with weighted carries. Whether it be front carries, especially, it could be a sandbag, could be a keg, could be a stack of plates, could be Husfeld stone, could be absolutely anything. It could be a yoke, a chain yoke, whatever you need to do to continually support weight and move around with it. You'll be shocked at what that will do. That's absolutely the reason why strongman's backs are so wide, guys. They spend so much time under tension with those weights. Now, the one thing that I will say about front carries and carries in general is that, again, they need to be heavy. A lot of people at 200 pounds body weight will pick up a 150-pound sandbag and take it for a run, but that is not going to get it done, guys. You need to be at least to your body weight, most likely much above your body weight. When you guys are doing farmer's walks, if you have implements, you should be trying to shoot for at least your body weight in each hand, guys. Carries only work when they're done heavy, and you'll know they're done heavy because it causes weird physiological changes in you. It shouldn't just be like, oh, I just picked up this weight and I'm walking across. Literally, from the moment that you pick that thing up, you should be thinking of nothing but getting across the room, because you can't wait to put the thing down, because it is so miserable, not only in your hands, but also in your head to pick it up. All of it's terrible. It needs to be that kind of heavy, guys. If you do that, trust me, your back will widen and thicken in no time. And the fourth principle I want to discuss with you guys is to take it seriously. Treat it exactly like the other 4 big movements, guys. A lot of people will throw in their rows as like assistance, or maybe if you're doing giant sets, you'll throw it in as the antagonistic movement before your main mover, but you don't really think about the weights there quite as much as you do on a bench press. I know there's not too many people out there going for a 1 rep maximum bent over row, and that'd be a very tough thing to measure. However, I want you to think about it in those same terms. I want you to be chasing those numbers the same way you would chase an overhead press or a squat. And also, when you're laying out your programming, I want you to think about it the same way. You need to start with big compound movements that move a ton of weight, like a deadlift or a rack deadlift or a heavy bent over row or something that is big and large, and you can use a little bit of body English if you need to, other parts of your body to help get that weight moving to overcome the weakness and the weakness areas of your back. Once you're done the heavy stuff, then you move on to your assistance stuff for the main mover of the back. And in there, I put more isolated things like a T-bar row or a corner barbell row, something that you'd think about as a big back movement, but not big enough to fit into the first category, right? Like a tier 2 type of movement. So if we're using bench press as the opposite example, if you did the main bench press, this would be like an incline bench press for your row. It's better than doing a chest fly, but it is not quite as important as doing a regular bench press. So tier 2 exercise, think of something in the middle, and then you're gonna follow up the end of your exercise with something isolated, something small, single arm cable type of stuff, things where you're getting a super long squeeze, really focusing on that mind muscle connection. Also remember, if you're gonna use assistance finishers or some other rep game like I talked about in the other principle, this is a great time to use that. Even your assistance work is a great time to use that. Or if you haven't used them in either, remember you can always use something like pull-ups, inverted rows, light dumbbell rows, light barbell rows in some conditioning work. So if you're gonna finish with some conditioning or start with conditioning, you can fit a little bit extra there. But again, if it's gonna be light, just make sure that you're actually using your back on it if you wanna gain benefit from it. Anyway, guys, if I wanna tell you a secret, Nala is in heat right now, so I am super stressed out trying to chase her around to make sure that we don't have puppies. She's getting ready to get fixed, but she did need to go in heat one time, so now, hey little girl. She's a crazy woman. But I do really hope this will help some of you out on your journey to gaining a bigger back, or if you're someone like me who had a bigger back and then you lost it and now you're trying to gain it back. That's a lot of backs in a sentence. Anyway, guys, I really hope you did find this helpful. Again, I'm sorry that I wasn't in the gym doing this, but again, with the Nala situation, kind of need to be on guard. So I thank you guys so much for being patient with me, and of course watching these videos and just all the support and everything you guys do. It's been so cool. The channel's been growing a lot lately, and that's all because of you guys and sharing this and supporting me and just doing cool things. So I can't thank you guys enough. It's awesome. So guys, I will catch up with you later in the week. Until I do, go out to something amazing, realize, keep working hard, people, be nice to each other. I'm gonna go sweat a lot more. Nala.